Fast Eddie Constantine with ProMMA.info. We are here at the U.S. Open with an unlikely guest in attendance here. We see you at the UFC, but Josh Rosenthal, thanks for joining us. What are you doing at the U.S. Open today?
I've been here since the first U.S. Open, and I am here supporting my instructor, Clovis Silva. Some of the guys are competing, so I'm here to help coach and root them on, as well as some friends from other academies. So just here to enjoy some good matches.
Outstanding. Now, no conflict in interest, right, between coaching Jiu Jitsu and reffing the UFC?
No, not at all. They're two completely different worlds as far as that goes. And
outstanding. Now, what rank do you hold in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu?
I'm a brown belt under Clovis. So.
And are you going to be competing at all today?
Not today, no. I haven't really been gearing up for this. It's a big tournament, and this is something that if I was going to do, I really want to be prepared fully. So it's a...
Now that's a good question. You know, when you being a brown belt, you've been training for years, I'm sure. When you do look to compete, will you pull your name out of the hat to ref, or that's the job? So you'll make it work around reffing for the UFC and other MMA events.
Yeah. There's no conflict in me competing as a jiu-jitsu competitor and reffing. There's no conflict there.
No, with regards to the amount of time required. Yeah, the focus that you need.
Not really. I mean, I pick up training, like when I go out of town, I try to pick up training wherever I can, whoever's there. You know, when I'm in Vegas, I go by a couple of the gyms, and I go by Legion Jiu-Jitsu out there sometimes, and Cameron's really good instructor. He was the jiu-jitsu coach for Forrest's team when on that series.
Gotcha. Okay. Outstanding.
He's got some nice stuff. Give a little shout out there to Cameron. He's always been that good to me. So
wonderful. And obviously, again, everybody sees you on television for the UFC. You're heading out to LA. When do you head out for the UFC 104 next weekend?
I fly down Friday, and then fights are Saturday, and come home Sunday. So a nice little weekend.
Yeah, you can't. It could be much worse than having the best seat in the house. Right?
It's horrible. It's just atrocious.
I want to get your take on something. And again, we talked about this a little bit off camera. What your thoughts on people's criticism of your job? The ref. If you do your job perfectly, nobody says shit. If you do something wrong, everybody's on your case.
Yeah, it's kind of no news is good news. If you don't get a phone call, then everything's working, right? Type of scenario. So
sounds like my last relationship.
So look, people are gonna put their opinions out there. I read it sometimes, but I don't really take it personal. They're just voicing their opinions, and everyone's got one. So some are bigger than others. But yeah, it's. People don't see what we see sometimes, and no one's perfect. We make mistakes. We're human, and it's and we're looking out for the fighter's safety ultimately. And so maybe in the process something might happen a little quicker than the fighter would like or the fans would like. But for some reason that referee steps in at that time. We know we're going to take heat for it. But it's not that big of a deal, to me. I don't take it, like I said, I don't take it personal.
Well, that's important. Or else, you'd have a hairline like mine. Your hair is short, but that looks like it's by choice.
I used to. When I first started out, I'd see a couple criticisms here or there, and I'd really be like, I can't believe they said that, and woo. But ultimately, it doesn't really affect me that much. So I go out there, I try to do the best I can, I try to give the fighters the best chance they can. It's an honor for me to referee them, that they have that trust in me and Herb and John, and Steve and some of the other guys, that they trust us that much, that they can fight 100% and not worry about getting hurt because they know we're there. That's what matters to me, so.
Absolutely. Now, how did you get into refereeing?
Wrong place, right time.
You want to elaborate a little bit on that one?
I was going to the fights back in probably about '96, started going to some smaller promotions that were kind of following the trail that was being laid, and wasn't really happy with the way, so I had a friend of mine have a fight, took a beating a little worse than he probably should have. Wasn't really happy with the way the referee had dealt with the situation. So I went to the promoter and was like, hey, look, I can do a better job than that guy. And he was like, you think so? And I'm like, I know so. I had no idea what I was getting into. You know?
And here we are 15 years later.
Yeah. 10 years later, 12 years later, here I am, you know. So I've been cutting my teeth a long time and hit some bumps in the road along the way. But, you know, I feel like I give my all for the guys. And, you know, that's all that matters to me.
Yes, absolutely. Now we know we can't ask you about anything with predictions, but who are some of your favorite fighters to watch, whether it's in the UFC, Dream, any of the organizations, but who's Josh Rosenthal's favorite fighter?
I mean, I don't really have a favorite. You know, I don't kind of I try not to fall into that, but I mean, there's some amazing guys out there. Obviously, Anderson is just incredible. Fedor, you know, if I have to say, there's someone that's like some of the #1 guys I enjoy watching is Fedor. Just his whole mental game going into fights and everything is just I really appreciate that. Nogueira's incredible. I mean, man, the list it's a tough list, you know.
It grows daily too, right?
It does. There's so much new talent coming up, you know. There's a lot of young talent out there, and you see some amazing stuff, you know, and just, you know, when all you see is the UFC, you don't really see the stuff coming up. There's a lot of young talent out there. Some really, really solid guys coming up, you know, out of these gyms, and I'm only seeing a small cross section in California, Nevada, compared to the rest of the U.S. Mm-hmm. So I know if I'm seeing this talent here, I know there's good talent elsewhere. Oh, yeah. So but there's you know, St. Pierre's good to watch, BJ, all of them, they're all great to watch. Yeah. It's all styles make fights. Absolutely. You know, so
absolutely. And you know, we talked about, obviously, you're a brown belt. We know Herb's been training. Herb has gotten out there and fought. John has been training forever. Yeah. So the referees do have their knowledge base, especially with the ground game. But what about the judging? Do you know, again, maybe you know, do they have to go through any of the, they should at least have to get a blue belt before they can judge, in my opinion.
Yeah, the judging's coming along. It's a growing sport, you know, and like I said, there's going to be mistakes made along the way. You know, a lot of the judges have been judging. These judges have judged other combat sports, boxing, kickboxing, and stuff. Some have martial art backgrounds, some don't. There's going to be a learning curve with some of them, but you know, it's coming along and it's getting better. And sometimes I don't agree with everything, and sometimes I do. So it's you know, it's what I tell the fighters.
Just like everything else in life, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, if you don't, you know, you don't want to leave it in 3 people's hands outside the ring. You know, so if you don't want to take the chance of going to a judge's decision, you guys have to decide who's going to win the fight. Absolutely. And that's how you steer clear of those controversies.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for being here, but who do you want to thank? Any of your students, like you said, your instructors? You know, we never hear from the refs, so I want to give you this chance now to get out everybody you want to thank and send shouts out to.
Well, I'd say thanks to the Tab Out guys. They've been a big supporter of me throughout the years from early on. I want to thank Clovis Silva, my instructor, Solomon Rizzo, my other instructor, 3rd Street Gym out in San Francisco. Who else? OTM, those guys have been really good to me over the years. Fairtex has treated me really nice. I appreciate everything all those guys have done for me. Make it easier for me to train. So it's a pleasure. So.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for joining us today at ProMMA.info.
Great, man. Thanks a lot.